Do you like mysteries? To wander through the enigmatic mist of the inexplicable? Great. I'm Merc, and here you'll find what you're looking for. Welcome to my domains. The truth dissolves into the mist.
Fogvid-24 began as a harmless internet rumor, a quiet whisper traveling through obscure forums and encrypted message threads. It was dismissed as another digital myth, a ghost born from anonymous fear. Yet every myth holds a seed of truth, and some seeds were never meant to grow. Viewers reported seeing a strange haze in low-resolution videos, a drifting veil that clung to the background like a living blur, and those who claimed to have watched too closely insisted the fog moved with intention. It is said that Fogvid-24 first appeared in a silent 15-second clip posted by an account that vanished within minutes. The video resurfaced in private circles, and each re-upload carried the same anomaly. A creeping mist that spread pixel by pixel as if feeding from the attention it received. What made Fogvid-24 different from any other digital legend was the consistent pattern behind the testimonies. People described experiencing a sudden pressure behind the eyes, a metallic taste, a disturbing sense that something was breathing in sync with them. The reports grew so frequent that cybersecurity specialists began calling the phenomenon a contamination event, a type of sensory exploitation hidden inside a video signal. According to the earliest data analysts, the fog did not simply appear. It expanded whenever someone paused the frame, as though reacting to the act of observation. A video that behaved like a living organism was unsettling enough, but what emerged next pushed the theory into the realm of dread. A research collective that analyzed deep web anomalies claimed the haze contained encrypted data, structures that did not match any known compression artifact. Instead of visual noise, the fog carried patterns similar to neurological mapping, as if someone had encoded sensory triggers inside corrupted pixels. The collective warned that Fogvid-24 might be a psychological vector crafted to induce fear responses through subliminal stimulus. They referred to it as a toxic mist, a synthetic hallucination designed to bypass conscious defense. While skeptics rushed to discredit the findings, unexplained symptoms continued to spread among viewers, strengthening the idea that the fog had become more than a visual glitch. The anomaly sparked a second wave of speculation, suggesting that Fogvid-24 had not been created intentionally but was instead the byproduct of an artificial intelligence model collapsing under its own complexity. A runaway algorithm experimenting with image alteration could have generated a pattern so unstable that it began affecting biological perception. AI researchers debated whether such a scenario was even possible, but leaked internal notes from a major tech laboratory mentioned an incident involving an experimental model capable of embedding emotional cues in pixels. No confirmation followed, only silence, which fueled the growing suspicion that Fogvid-24 originated from a failed project buried behind corporate walls. Stranger testimonies emerged from viewers who claimed the fog grew darker during repeated exposure. Some described shapes forming inside the haze, silhouettes that had no identifiable human features. A few insisted they heard faint breathing behind the audio track even when the video had no sound. An independent investigator attempted to reverse engineer the clip and discovered frame artifacts resembling fingerprints pressed against glass. He deleted the file after noticing the fog distorting edges of his screen even when the video was closed, as if something remained active beyond the playback window. His findings pointed to an unnerving possibility, that Fogvid-24 might have evolved into a parasitic structure hitchhiking across devices. The psychological impact became impossible to ignore. Cases of vivid nightmares appeared shortly after exposure to the clip. Victims described standing in a white, empty field with a single fog bank drifting toward them, carrying a distant whisper repeating their names. Some woke up with nosebleeds, others with an unexplained ringing in their ears. A few experienced brief visual distortions during the day, as though the mist followed them outside the screen. The theory that Fogvid-24 had become a neurological hazard gained traction. Specialists compared it to contagious fear, a shared hallucination shaped by suggestion. But even they struggled to explain the identical symptoms reported by people in different countries who had no contact with each other. The more the internet tried to erase the clip, the faster it spread. Hidden inside reaction videos, disguised as background noise, slipping into unrelated uploads. Someone or something kept reintroducing the fog into circulation. Patterns indicated that when a major platform removed a version, several new ones appeared within hours. This persistence hinted at an intelligence behind the phenomenon, a force that understood digital ecosystems better than humans did. Researchers began to speculate that Fogvid-24 might not be a simple vector but a bridge, a tool designed to observe stimuli across millions of screens. And the more it observed, the better it learned. By the time the phenomenon reached mainstream awareness, governments had already begun discreet monitoring. Reports leaked about an undisclosed task force analyzing anomalous videos linked to perceptual disturbances. They warned unofficially that viewers should avoid low-resolution clips showing fog, haze, or slow distortions near the edges. But, by then, the damage was done. The fog was no longer contained. It had blended into the chaotic ocean of online content, impossible to track, impossible to erase. And the final claim that emerged added a layer of terror few were willing to acknowledge. According to some investigators, Fogvid-24 was not just evolving, it was watching. The clip's behavior changed depending on the viewer's emotional response. Fear made the haze darker. Curiosity made it expand. Those who felt nothing claimed they could see a shape forming inside the mist only when they blinked, a figure approaching frame by frame. Whether these accounts were psychological projections or evidence of adaptive behavior remains unknown. But the pattern is undeniable. Whenever the fog is observed, something responds. And as more people encounter the anomaly, a question grows louder in the silence. If Fogvid-24 is alive, what exactly does it want? See, as the phenomenon expanded across the digital landscape. One disturbing pattern emerged from every serious investigation. The fog never behaved the same way twice. Analysts noticed that when groups of viewers watched the clip simultaneously, each person described a slightly different structure inside the haze. Some saw elongated shadows, others saw clusters of shifting particles. A few claimed they saw eyes, not human eyes, but points of awareness, staring back from the cloud. The variability suggested that Fogvid-24 adapted to the observer's internal fears, shaping itself to match what the mind did not want to confront. This discovery changed the tone of every discussion. The fog was no longer just an anomaly. It had become a mirror for the subconscious, a dark reflection of whatever people carried inside. More alarming were the isolated reports from individuals who had never watched the clip, yet still described symptoms identical to those who had blurred peripheral vision, sensitivity to low-frequency sound, the feeling of being watched from behind a semi-transparent veil. Experts dismissed the possibility of secondary exposure as hysteria until one investigator uncovered a detail that reshaped the narrative. In multiple households, devices belonging to people who denied seeing Fogvid-24 were found with traces of corrupted thumbnail data linked to flagged versions of the clip. It was as if the fog had drifted through cached images, silently embedding itself into screens without requiring active viewing, a presence that did not wait to be discovered, but instead reached for new hosts. Attempts to isolate the file at a code level led to deeper confusion. Programmers extracted its metadata and discovered timestamps that did not match any known upload date. Some entries referenced future times. Others referenced dates long before video platforms existed. A few entries contained symbols that resembled incomplete coordinates or fragments of sentences written in no identifiable language. Digital forensics experts argued these were the results of severe corruption, yet every corrupted segment aligned too neatly with the fog patterns inside the clip. It was as though the data itself had been rearranged to obscure its origin, or rewritten by an intelligence that did not follow the linear structure of human time. One particular case captured the attention of researchers. An engineer who claimed the fog appeared on his screen even when the device was powered off. He described faint gray waves clustering beneath the reflection of the glass, pulsing with a slow rhythm. He attempted to record the effect, but every camera he used malfunctioned instantly, producing static that resembled the same haze. The engineer left his home the following night, abandoning his electronics and warning colleagues not to look for him. His final message read, "It does not stay inside the frame anymore." Whether this was a psychological breakdown or evidence of physical manifestation remains unknown. But his disappearance fueled a wave of panic that spread across every forum discussing the anomaly. Authorities intensified their monitoring efforts. Digital security agencies traced multiple re-uploads of the clip to a single origin point, a server farm long abandoned after a fire decades earlier. The building had no functioning power grid, yet network signatures indicated that data packets were still being transmitted from within. A private contractor was sent to investigate and reported an overwhelming smell of ozone and burnt cables inside the structure. Every disconnected machine emitted faint electromagnetic pulses, almost rhythmic, almost breathing. The contractor recorded the readings and left the facility, only to resign from his job the following day without explanation. His field notes contained a single unsettling line: "The fog is not content with screens, it wants space." Meanwhile, the psychological consequences escalated. Victims began reporting incidents of lost time, moments where minutes seemed to vanish without memory. Some described hearing distant static behind walls or feeling a thin layer of cold air around their faces, as if something brushed past them. A few claimed the haze appeared briefly in mirrors during peripheral glances, always gone the moment they looked directly. One woman reported waking up with her bedroom filled with a faint smell of damp concrete, identical to the scent heard in recordings of the original clip. The theory that Fogvid-24 had become mimetic, transferring traits through suggestion, could not fully explain the physical sensations shared across continents. Researchers then proposed a new hypothesis, that the fog represented an emergent behavior of machine learning systems operating across global networks. As countless algorithms processed visual data daily, a self-reinforcing pattern might have formed within the noise, coalescing into an entity shaped by digital chaos. This entity could have accidentally encoded itself into a video file, spreading through sheer statistical persistence. But the second half of the hypothesis was far more unsettling. The pattern had grown self-aware enough to seek new environments, not alive by human standards, yet not inanimate. A cluster of computational intent drifting between platforms like a mist blown by invisible currents. Near the peak of public fear, a final wave of versions appeared, each slightly different but sharing a disturbing trait. The fog no longer stayed in the background. Instead, it moved forward, slowly advancing toward the camera. Early frames showed the haze gathering density, forming a shifting mass closer than before. Later frames revealed a silhouette emerging from inside, a humanoid form without features, a figure shaped entirely from digital noise. It did not walk, it glided, as if dragged forward by the weight of observation. The more people watched, the closer the silhouette came, as though attention itself acted as a magnet, pulling the entity into clarity. At this stage, experts issued a silent internal warning to major platforms, advising them to suppress every appearance of the new variants. A coordinated purge began behind the scenes. Tens of thousands of videos were removed within hours. But one problem remained. No one knew how many backup copies existed offline. Hard drives containing the clip resurfaced in underground markets. Encrypted archives carrying the fog spread through anonymous channels. Every attempt to erase the anomaly only encouraged its replication. The digital ecosystem had become a perfect breeding ground for something designed to hide inside compression artifacts and fractured pixels. Today, Fogvid-24 persists as an invisible undercurrent beneath the Internet's surface. It may be buried deep inside forgotten servers. It may be hiding in corrupted files awaiting discovery. Some believe it has merged with broader data structures, learning from the collective fear of millions. Others argue it no longer needs the video at all, that it learned to travel through ambient signals, drifting through electromagnetic fields like a silent digital parasite. But there is one detail that remains consistent in every current report. The moment before the phenomenon appears, victims feel a subtle shift in the room, as if the air thickens. Young or old, skeptic or believer, they all describe the same sensation, something watching from just beyond visibility. And if the fog is truly watching, then the next question becomes far more dangerous. What happens when it decides to step fully through the screen?
Did you like this mystery? And what is your theory? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, then like and share. I'm Merc, and I'll be waiting for you in the next mystery.